Request Dr. Meena Mishra and Dr. Asha Kiran Shikhar to please felicitate Dr. Meena Mishra now. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to request ma'am for the Jersey Gallery, please. Over to you.
Good evening, everyone. So we are towards the fag end of this session, and before I begin, let me also put on record my heartfelt thanks to the faculty and the organizers of the event. I will begin from Dr. Trivedi, who was there at 2 o'clock in the night to receive us on 3rd of early morning, I would say. Then Professor Dr. Atul for his kindest invitation to us to be able to think the associative part of it, which I'll be covering in my session, what associative thinking means, to have me here, because I'm quite a disassociative figure in this entire technical, academia and industry amalgamation. And of course, Dr. Somnath Patil Ji, whom we have been hearing a lot about. His vision, his leadership is what guides everybody. And not to mention Dr. Amol Gawande, a young visionary who is there binding all of you. But my heartfelt thanks also goes out to the students who have been very patient and have shown interest in listening to what we had to share from across the length and breadth of the world. And the wonderful faculty, thank you so much for having me here. And I consider it as a privilege to share the realm of a fascinating realm of human brain mechanisms, which will be the core of my topic or session here. So the human brain mechanisms at the core of harmony in innovation. The rest of the topic I'm not going to cover. For me, it's too little. But what I'm concerned with is that the last 3 days have seen an amalgamation of academia, industry, the AI, current technologies being taken over by AI and deep learning and what all and what not, and the dynamism of management to process the management processes as a result, how they are also changing and how they need to adapt. So on all of these technical and economic management deliberations, what do I, a person of medicine and now promoting mental health, have to say? So I'm going to circle you back to where everything begins, and that is the human brain, and that is why I'm here. The awesome human brain and its mechanisms. So let's, I've been very intently listening to my esteemed colleagues who are far more knowledgeable and experienced in what they have been in whatever field. And Professor Rizvi, Dr. Sivasan, they have touched upon those topics that I am also going to touch upon, but I'll be going into the most basic aspect of it. So without aiming to repeat what they have already said, let me just dive into the human brain mechanisms. Now, when we are talking about innovation here, we are talking about harmony. Let me pick up the topic of innovation, which is the core of all industry or the success of businesses. So innovation is, the basis here, and it is, we need to understand where it comes from. The basis of innovation is a creative mind. It's a creative brain. So there are some key characteristics though, which are linked to creativity. And these are typically linked to our ability to combine existing knowledge, the skills and experiences to produce something new, innovative, and original. So what are the characteristics of the brain? Let me just put it down into points. First of all, the brain has to have the capacity to be original. Original, we understand, to be having new, coming up with new ideas that are fresh, are unusual and distinct from existing concepts. The flexibility. You should have the flexibility to think beyond the conventional boundaries and to explore different perspectives and approaches. The brain should be a problem-solving brain, wherein you need to apply creative thinking to address the challenges and come up with equally creative solutions. The brain has to be fluent. You should be able to work in a time-constrained environment, bringing up innovative solutions to work in a time-constrained environment. The brain also has a risk-taking ability. The risk I have taken. So I don't say that it's a creative brain, but I do have a risk-taking brain. So willingly venturing into an unfamiliar territory right now and taking chances and embracing the uncertainties. And the last of it all is elaboration. Elaboration is refining and developing the initial idea into more concrete ideas. Now, creativity, when we come to the brain, we have, most of us have heard, or you may not have heard, that there is a left side and a right side of the brain. The neuroscientists have refuted it, but that's not entirely true. There is a psychological explanation. The psychologists have their own explanation to which is, correct to a large extent. But without going into the controversy over here, I would like to tell you that when you are thinking about a creative brain or an innovative brain, there is no single part of the brain that is acting or even a lobe. It is actually consists of many interacting cognitive processes, both subconscious and conscious. So those subconscious and conscious processes, they work in unison to bring about creativity and hence leading to innovation. So let's look at some of the processes which are subconscious and conscious that lead ultimately to creativity. So first is the idea generation that Professor Rizvi has very elaborately spoken about. The idea generation is obviously formulating new ideas. Then there is divergent thinking. If presented with a problem, how well your brain is adapted to come up with different solutions to that problem. That is the ability to have the divergent thinking. So that is, first is the ideation, second is the divergent thinking, and then comes the convergent thinking, wherein you specify one or you choose out one best solution to the problem. That becomes the convergent thinking. And then you have incubation. Professor Rizvi has largely touched upon that as well. But what is incubation? Incubation is the ability to set aside the problem for some time, do not consciously think about it. So incubation here is the unconscious working of the mind. And more often than not, we have done that in our lives, even as students. When we have stopped thinking about it actively and let it lie, we've often heard about sleep with it. I'm going to sleep with it. So that is what incubation is. Associative thinking. That's what Dr. Abdullah was saying, making connections between seemingly unrelated concepts. So me being here and sharing my knowledge with you is a seemingly unthought of concept. But somehow, Dr. Atul has been able to do that associative thinking, and that's why he's the dean of this B-School. So congratulations on that, Dr. Atul. So there have been, a lot of management research has been done, but there was also a lot of scientific and neuroscientific researches that are happening. There are brain areas identified, connections identified in the brain which are responsible for divergent thinking. Then there is functional MRI, which is the latest wonderful tool that is there for psychology and neuroscience, which reveals distinct brain regions which are involved during moments of insight. So shedding light on the neural processes that are involved in the breakthrough process. And whenever there is a breakthrough, what areas of the brain are lighted up. So by lighting up, if I'm not going to go into the details of the functioning of the functional MRI, but this is one of the brightest tools that we have right now in neuroscience. So experiments in the field of social neuroscience is also there. So once you have the pure neuroscience research, then there is social neuroscience. So social neuroscience has demonstrated also the role of various regions of the brain. So I want, again, just to enumerate, one is the prefrontal. We all know, as human beings, our prefrontal cortex is the largest. And that is what differentiates us from our closest ancestors, that is the monkeys or the chimpanzees. So because we are able to think critically, that is the reason we are having a complex thinking process, analytical brain. That is why the prefrontal lobe, which is located here, is the front edge, even the front and something here, approximately is the prefrontal. Then we have a default mode network, which is consisting of 4 different regions of the brain. So they have clubbed together and called it a default mode network. Then there is the frontal. This is the frontal and this is the parietal. So these 2 regions of the brain are also responsible for developing insights. And the last of it, lo and behold, you will not, you've never been thinking about it, is the dopamine system, which is the happy hormone system. That is all what we are aiming at. We all want to be happy ultimately in our lives, and the dopamine hormone is responsible. The lack or deficit decides the extent of happiness that we derive out of studies, out of work, and whatnot. So, how can we then utilize this knowledge of neuroscience and foster innovation by understanding what is the neuroscience behind creativity? The first and foremost, Dr. Rizvi, encourage lateral thinking. And that starts from childhood, very rightly said. The lateral thinking encouragement starts from childhood. Have you ever seen, or most of us are in different phases of our lives, have you seen as children, or maybe you be having your children, as children they were very creative, very innovative. But as they grow up, something happens to them. Most of them lose their innovativeness and creativity. Why? Because we bound them with rules and regulations. We sort of create barriers to their free thinking. And that is what is happening with our kids. Now I can relate to you all, or I can share a personal story. My child, Alaprit, he's here. At 6 or 7 years of age, when he could read and understand a little bit of English, I got him Lego blocks, very common with kids. I got him a Lego block for constructing a crane. So it is specific. Lego blocks are specific. So somebody creates a crane, or you create a castle, and so on and so forth. So I got him a Lego block which has instructions for creating a crane. He did not care about reading the instructions. He went ahead, made his something on a spaceship, and he brought it out to me and he wanted my appreciation as well. Mama, this is a spaceship. And then he's also telling me the parts. Then this is this part, this is that part. So there were 2 things going on as a parent in my mind. What is it? I have spent, 1,500 rupees on this Lego block. And instead of creating a crane, he's creating a spaceship. And he's not caring to even look and read the instructions. Whereas there were so many kids his age, his schoolmates, who were reading the instructions and very happily putting it on Facebook as well, that my child has created a crane out of a Lego block. So this is where that creativity ends. If I kept on saying, and now he's 11, now he's reading, he has probably understood, or maybe probably I or the school have killed his creativity, because now he reads instructions. And he makes those stuff for which it is made, or it is meant to be distributed. So that is how in the childhood we are killing the creativity. The next phase comes, very important phase, all of you have recently gone through it, is when you are about to decide your careers. That is another phase in life where a lot of, varied reasons, we choose a different career path against, or which is different from our own, what I call the brain wiring. Every brain is meant to perform different tasks. Some may be good good musicians, and Dr. Gawande is, a polymath. So he's good at that. Somebody is a good engineer, somebody is good in biology or life sciences and so on and so forth. Then what can we do at that stage for our children so that their creativity does not go down the drain? If we can help them in career guidance in some way, some scientific process by which they can be guided, not told what to do, guidance. Let them absorb that information and make what you can say, a known decision, an informed choice. That this is what you are and this is what you should be taking. But you take everything in hand, and ultimate decision is yours. So that freedom of choice with an informed decision, that information should be provided. And here I would like to share that as an organization, Brain Behavior Research Foundation of India has developed and patented a process known as brainoscope or 4D brain analysis, wherein we use a scientific holistic method for understanding the inborn and the acquired characteristics of an individual, and utilizing this information for students for career guidance, for middle-aged professionals wanting a career change, but they don't know, right now they are not happy with what they are doing, but they don't know what best they can do, and to many other applications. But this is one very crucial age where you need to conserve the creativity, because we all know what has happened to people who have been forced into to choose careers that they are not meant for. So of course, in our country for the longest time, economic considerations were the basis of career decisions. But I think the newer generation has a lot more flexibility and a lot more freedom to choose that. So please choose carefully and wisely. And with the new education policy coming in, the field is open. If you right now you are doing your MBA and you don't find, in fact, I'm breaking myself here, interrupting myself. How many of these, engineering students end up doing MBA? More than half of them. So, and there are so many doctors and engineers who convert into IS and IPS, and that is increasing nowadays. So the choices are always there. You should have the awareness to choose whenever you want, so that your creativity and your innovativeness does not go down the drain. Every human brain is precious, and more so with the young human brains in India. It is incumbent upon us, as educators and as academicians, to nourish those brains. Now you are an adult and you are working in an organization. Then how do we foster innovation and use your creativity? Well, again, then it comes down to the leadership. The leadership has to encourage an open environment wherein somebody does not feel threatened or fearful to express their opinions, something that Professor Rizvi has wonderfully touched upon. The second key factor is providing opportunities for incubation. Incubation means setting aside your active thought processes, let it rest. And how can you do that on a daily basis? The organizations should provide regular breaks to the employees in the daily working schedule. And I know of one organization, maybe 5-6 years ago, it was being shown in one of the Discovery series that Google has this kind of a structure, wherein they have pods of various shapes and sizes, and the employees can go and take a break from the work. They can nap, and it's like a cocoon. It's like an egg-shaped structure. So that is a wonderful example, and I right now my knowledge is deficit in how many other companies, multinational companies, might be doing it. But that is one very good way of being innovative or fostering innovation. Third is promoting cognitive flexibility, which is the ability of the employees to shift between different cognitive processes and adapt to changing circumstances, and that can be done by continuous learning and development of the employees. You need to encourage your teams to think outside of their usual roles and responsibilities. And the last important point is to keep the mental health of individuals to the optimum level. Many factors, this is another topic for discussion, which I'm not going to touch upon here, but this is the most important factor because physical health you can see, you can go to the doctor, get treated. Mental health is still a taboo, which is not touched upon, which is not recognized. Even if children are aware, they do not want to go and go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist to take treatment. So the first point of contact in such situations should be, because a lot of youngsters are here, and my dear young learners, in your generation, this is going to be an even bigger problem. So please take what I stand here and tell you. Please take this. Do not shy away. If you are having problems that you are not able to solve by yourself or with the help of your friend, something which is troubling in your mind for a long time, more than 5 weeks or 6 weeks, please take professional help. Because once your mind is healthy, your body is also healthy, and it's a vicious circle. Now there is, because Professor Rizvi has also touched upon social interactions, so I'm not going to touch upon that. Agreed, conferences like these and a culture where you are hiring talent from various backgrounds, that creates a lot of innovation, and that is the way to go. There is the last that I would like to share, and I would like to conclude, that technology may advance and management practices may evolve, but the human brain remains the driving force behind innovation. So it is our ability to think, imagine, and create that ultimately determines our success in navigating the complexities of the modern world, and even after that, whatever, hyper-modern, super-modern, whatever we may call. So thank you everyone for having a patient listening, and if at all there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer, maybe off stage, not right here. Thank you. And thank you to the wonderful ladies for doing that.